All right, let's talk about setbacks. We've all been there, right? That feeling of hitting a wall, making a huge mistake, it's just a universal part of life and especially work. But what if we've been looking at it completely wrong this whole time?
I mean, really let that sink in for a second. Think back to that one project that just went completely off the rails, or that big presentation that got a hard no. What if buried deep inside that frustrating, kind of awful experience was a skill you couldn't have learned any other way? And look, it's totally normal to feel that way. Our culture pretty much frames failure as the final word, like a big red stop sign on your career path. We're taught to avoid it, at all costs. But what if that exact mindset is what's really holding us back?
This is the big idea from Dr. Carolyn Frost that we're digging into today, and it's such a powerful reframe. Setbacks aren't just annoying obstacles to get over. They're the actual training grounds where our most valuable, most durable professional skills are built.
So, over the next few minutes, we're going to take that myth apart piece by piece. We'll explore how every single stumble is really an opportunity in disguise. We're going to break it down into 3 key areas where that struggle is secretly sharpening your professional edge.
First up, forging resilience. Now, these are the skills we pick up for dealing with the outside world. Navigating challenges with other people, handling external pressures. This is the tough stuff that really builds a stronger core. Let's start with a fun one, embarrassment. Nobody likes it, right? But check out the transformation here. That awful sinking feeling in your stomach, it's directly connected to building resilience. Once you've messed up in front of everyone and survived, and you always survive, that fear just doesn't have the same power over you. You proved yourself you can recover, and that makes you so much bolder the next time around.
Okay, how about conflict? Another thing we all try to dodge. But wading into a tough conversation, it's like a high-intensity workout for your communication skills. It forces you to be super precise with your words, to manage your emotions, and to actually listen. You don't learn to stay calm under pressure in a webinar, you learn it right there in the thick of it.
Rejection. Hearing that no can feel so personal, can it? But every single no is a chance to practice detachment. You slowly learn that the outcome of a pitch, well, it's not a verdict on your personal worth. And that skill, that's a superpower. It lets you bounce back and try again, way faster, and with a lot less emotional baggage.
And what about criticism? Yeah, it stings, no doubt. But when you face it enough, something really interesting starts to shift. You realize that trying to please absolutely everyone is just an exhausting, impossible game. So you start building an internal compass, learning to filter the noise, and most importantly, trust your own judgment first.
Let's just pause on this one for a second. Self-trust. This is the absolute bedrock of professional confidence. It's not about being arrogant or ignoring what others say. It's about making your own voice the most important one in the room for you. It just goes to show how a totally negative experience like criticism can end up building one of your greatest assets.
All right, so that's the outside world. Now let's turn inward. Part 2 is all about gaining clarity. These are the setbacks that teach us about ourselves, our limits, our values, and what really truly matters. They give you this incredible focus.
We hear the phrase failing forward all the time, and this is exactly why. An easy win feels great for a minute, but you learn almost nothing. An honest-to-goodness failure, though, one where you're forced to dissect what went wrong, that is an incredible teacher. It just strips away your ego and replaces it with humility and real, hard-won knowledge. Loss is tough. Whether it's losing a project, a client, or a role you wanted, it's painful. But in that absence, you gain this incredibly powerful lens of perspective. Suddenly, all the noise just falls away, and you can see with perfect clarity what was actually important, what you really valued, and what you need to do next.
We are all facing uncertainty constantly. And just waiting around for a perfectly clear path to appear, that's usually a recipe for doing nothing. But when you're thrown into those ambiguous situations, you're forced to become adaptable. You learn to make calls with incomplete information, to forge your own path instead of waiting for one to magically appear.
And then there's burnout. It is a brutal, full-system shutdown, but it is also the most effective, if incredibly harsh, teacher when it comes to boundaries. After you hit that wall just once, you learn a lesson you never forget. Your energy is a finite resource, and you have to protect it. You finally learn how to say no.
So for our final section, let's look at the skills that actually propel us forward. This is the real growth edge.
These are the abilities forged in those quiet, frustrating moments that ultimately fuel our biggest progress and achievements.
Delays are so infuriating. It feels like you're just stuck, standing still. But this reframe is so powerful. Progress doesn't just vanish when things slow down, it deepens. These are the times when ideas marinate, when strategies get stronger, when your resolve hardens. It's that forced pause that teaches you true patience.
And this right here is so important. Pushing your own boundaries is never, ever comfortable. It feels awkward. It feels clumsy and uncertain. But that feeling, that is the feeling of courage in action. Leaning into that discomfort is how you grow. Courage isn't about not being afraid. It's about doing it anyway.
So, let's pull this all together. This right here, this is your new professional edge. This is the toolkit you've built, not in spite of your struggles, but because of them. Resilience, humility, adaptability, self-trust, and courage. These are not just buzzwords on a slide, they are the real, powerful skills that are going to set you apart.
I want to leave you with this thought one more time, because it is just so true. The next time you feel awkward, or out of your depth, or like you don't know what you're doing, recognize it. That's not a sign of failure. That's the feeling of growth happening in real time. So here is the final question for you to take with you. This isn't just some nice theory, it's a whole new lens to see your career through. The next time you stumble, get curious. Instead of just seeing the mistake, ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? What skill is hiding inside this struggle? Thanks for listening.